10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Warning. Viewer listener discretion is advised. The majority of the content of this program is not fact-checked. It is highly advised that it not be used for teaching your children from said content, other than making an example out of the hosts of what they should not grow up to be. Remember this. It's the beer talking.
Demonology is a science of demons and their actions. The word demon is Greek and simply means a supernatural being or a lesser divinity. In classical ancient Greece, demones were perceived as guardian spirits or as either good or evil spirits who try to influence the human psyche. However, in Christian theology, demons were always considered evil, whereas angels were thought to serve as God's messengers or agents. Since the evil spirits were conceived as being masters of deception, an elaborate procedure of evaluation, the discernment of spirits, was deemed necessary. This produced the science of angels, angelology, distinct from demonology. Theologically, demonology was based upon numerous references in the Bible, both in the ancient Jewish tradition and in the New Testament. The belief in spirit beings was fairly universal, as was a belief in related phenomena such as inspiration, spirit possession, and the struggle against possession by exorcism. Archaic religious systems such as shamanism were based on communication with spirits or spirit helpers. Inspiration was an important aspect of Christianity and still is, as the Feast of Pentecost indicates. To the dismay of the authorities, indigenous prophets continued to emerge from all corners of Europe, and various forms of spiritualism and prophecy remained part of the European everyday life. Between 1500 and 1660, the medieval concept of demonology remained largely intact. It was shaped by St. Augustine's idea that the interactions between demons and humans were based on a contract, either explicit or implicit. This assumption was inspired by Roman law, which viewed contracts as being mutually binding agreements.
You sounded really smart there, Keith. It's like you really know what you're talking about.
Not really, but hey,
wow.
I appreciate the compliment.
Welcome everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
Paranormal Talk tonight with Leon Wilkes.
Yes, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. So we didn't have our guru of the suds with us tonight, so that's why we didn't do the beer thing first.
Right.
But that didn't stop us from drinking beer.
Especially with St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow, huh?
Yeah.
Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Be safe.
Be safe. We're drinking a Irish cream ale from Laughing Dog Brewing. And where are they from?
Yeah, they're in Idaho. What was it?
Ponderay, Idaho.
Ponderay, Idaho.
Never heard of it.
Me neither.
But it's pretty good and yummy.
Not too bad at all.
Bad. It's only
I'm
a
sure
4
Jeff could tell us all kinds of stuff about it.
We'll have to ask him. We'll have to do like an update after this.
Because it just used 2 different types of yeast. So it used where did I read it?
It said that on the can?
Yeah. So you use lagering yeast and ale, both ale and lager yeast. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
So yeah, so that means it ferments from both the top and the bottom, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
But it's pretty tasty.
It's hazy. So
yeah, I mean,
it's not real clear. So
no.
It's good. It's got a good flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
So cheers, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And, let's get on with the show, shall we?
Let's do it.
We have our guest tonight, Mr. Leon Wilkes. and we're talking demonology. Gonna be fun.
It's such a fascinating thing.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing tonight?
I can't complain. I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where it is right now snowing.
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah, this weather here is crazy. I'm so used to the southeast, and I'm from Georgia, and here the weather is so unpredictable, and it's just crazy.
Especially this year, it seems to be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be heading to Mexico here in a couple of days ourselves. So.
Southern part of New Mexico.
Yeah.
Where to?
Las Cruces.
I'll be speaking at the Las Cruces Paracon in October.
Oh,
very
we'll be
cool.
there.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be back there.
Cool.
Awesome.
That's exciting.
And I was married in Albuquerque
Really?
almost 43 years ago.
Yeah.
Gee whiz. All right. Yeah.
So great to have you, Leon. Definitely interested to hear about your past and what you do, and especially the demonology side of things. We're definitely fascinated by that. So, well, I'll let you start by telling a little bit about yourself. That'd be great.
My name is Leon Wilkes, and I've been in the field of the paranormal for about 21 years. Wow, it's been that long. I started in the year 2000, actually researching the paranormal and actually kind of delving in that field, And I'm one of those ones that never had that that happening in my childhood that really haunted me and caused me to go that route. I was interested in the show called Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay.
And I saw all the episodes that they had on there. That's where I first got introduced to Ed and Lorraine Warren. That is where I got introduced to all things paranormal. And it wasn't until about 2000 where I really decided to really start researching because it piqued my interest. So I did that, and then I started a paranormal team right after I entered the military, and we handled paranormal cases throughout Georgia. That was back in the heyday when ghost hunters first came out, and all that big hoorah about the paranormal field. So this is what we did. We people called us, and we come out and we did a scientific investigation of their home to see what was happening. I come from a background of a Christian faith, so I bring this along with me when I come into investigations. Well, I never forget this. What sparked me to start studying the field of demonology is we had a paranormal case, and we were able to document, fantastic evidence of something that was malevolent. And after we presented this to the client on the way home, everyone in the car was happy, but I wasn't. I kind of felt something inside of me tell me that you're going to leave them to be hurt. You're going to leave them in this situation. And that kind of plagued me to the point to where I decided maybe I do need to study the field of demonology. And so I did. And I told myself that I wasn't going to just go in and read a book. I kind of got a little bit of common sense to say that you just can't read a book and go in there and help people. You have to have a good core people around you to teach you what you need to know, to actually show you the ropes and actually put what they teach you in the practice in the field. So first I started out with Keith Johnson. Very nice man, and me and him developed a great friendship. But then I met Dave Considine. Dave Considine is one of only a handful of people that was ever formally trained by Ed Warren.
Oh, okay.
So, and then Dave taught me things that I need to know about the field.
Right.
So that's how I came about into the field of religious demonology. I didn't know it at the time, but it was the proper way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be a legitimate religious demonologist or a demonologist that studies the field of religious demonology, you have to be properly trained by someone else who is either a religious demonologist, sanctioned by the church, or someone who is an exorcist or bishop. So fortunately, the cards were laid out and it kind of fell in my favor. God blessed me that way to put the proper people in my life to teach me the field of religious demonology. So there you have it. That's how I became a demonologist. That's how I came up in the field.
So that case that you're talking about, did you actually go back and help them after?
Yes. I was taught what I needed to know. I called them back years later and they were still having problems. So I was able to, in my way, kind of rectify what I left.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's very interesting too, because you mentioned Keith Johnson. So you're talking about Carl's brother.
Yes.
And so I remember we did have Carl on a while back, a month or so ago.
Yeah,
right?
about a month ago. Yeah.
And he did mention that his brother Keith was a religious demonologist, where he was more secular himself. So this is interesting. We can delve into a little bit more of the big difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Keith is a very nice man. What people don't realize is that Keith and Carl, they were the first ones on the case that actually investigated the Harrisfield, Rhode Island case that we know as the Conjuring case.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it shows that they brought in Ed and Lorraine, but that was not the case.
Right.
Carl and Keith were the first ones there, and they're the ones that brought in Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yep. Yeah, that was a neat story when he told that. So I'm curious. So if you were to define demonology, or the study of, what would your definition be?
There is different. Well, there's a various different degrees of demonology. You have people that study the field of demonology through an occult sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that study the field of demonology through a Protestant religious sense. And then you have what you call people who are religious demonologists, and they study the field of demonology through the Catholic sense. That is what I do. That is what Dave does. Ralph Sarchi, he's a devout Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
He studies it through the Catholic sense as well. So did Ed. So did Tony Spera. So that is the differences. Now, when you come to the actual term religious demonologist versus just a demonologist, that's what the difference is. So from a religious demonologist perspective, that is someone who falls under the authority of a bishop from the Catholic sense. That is someone who has the apostolic authority to actually go investigate these cases. And some of them, it all depends on how well they've been trained. They will be given certain permissions or authorities to do certain things.
Okay.
So then you get to a term called demonologist. Well, that can be from the Protestant sense all the way up to the occult sense. So that's the difference. The Protestant faith really don't have a priest or a bishop. They have pastors, but from the Catholic sense, we have priests, we have bishops. So that's the big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when you read about it, and I said that a little bit in the intro, Christianity typically always labels demons as evil. Do you believe that they're always evil?
Yes.
Okay.
Demonic spirits are evil. When you look at the they well, people have different theories about demons and what they are.
Mhm.
The two main theories are, number one, that they are the disembodied spirits of the pre-Adamite race. Okay, when you go down that rabbit hole, it's a big theological debate.
Right.
It goes back to the Genesis 1:1 and 1:1 and 1:2. They claim, the people that believe in that claim that in between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2, something happened. And many of them believe that Lucifer came down from heaven, that he landed on earth, and he tried to, let's say, demoralize the whole race that God had already created. Because many believe that Genesis 1:1, God created the heavens and the earth. Then he created the heavens and the earth. They also believe that there was another race that was made before the Adam and Eve. And when you look at Genesis 1:2, it says that basically that when you look at the context, the earth was void and empty, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the earth, of the face of the water, while the darkness was under the face of the deep. So many believe that, well, actually, when you go back to the original Hebrew, when it says that the earth was, in the original Hebrew, it says the earth became void and empty.
Mhm.
So if you want to follow that context, then you have to believe that something happened in between verse 1 and 2 that caused the earth to be void. And then if you follow it further, it says that the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the water, while the darkness was under the deep. So if you believe in the pre-Adamite race, if you believe in that theory, then you're saying that there was a two floods, the flood of Lucifer. If you follow that trail, like I said, it goes down a long rabbit hole. I mean, a long rabbit hole. But if you believe in that theory, then you're saying that there was two floods, the flood of Lucifer and the flood of Noah. Because what it clearly describes, if you follow that theory, is that there was a flood there.
Mhm.
And it covered, and the water covered the evil, while the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the water. So many people that follow that theory follow it up and kind of justify it by reading Isaiah 14:12. And at the end of that, Isaiah 14:12 is talking about the fall of Lucifer,
Mhm.
about how he was cast from heaven and landed on earth. But at the end of that verse, it says that, oh, how you have crippled the nations. Now, people who follow that pre-Adamite theory questions this. So there was nations before Adam? So if you follow that theory, people believe that the demonic spirits are the disembodied spirits of the pre-Adamite race.
Mhm.
Now, there's another theory that is more sound than that, and that is that demons are fallen angels, the evil spirits. In which that's more, that's more concrete than following the rabbit hole.
Right.
I like to follow the context of these are the evil spirits. These are the spirits that have fallen from heaven. These are the angelic spirits that do the bidding of the devil. So I like to follow that construct, because that's what the church has taught for thousands of years,
Right.
and that is more sound teaching. Am I saying the other is wrong? No. What I am saying is that it is more believable to believe that they are the fallen angels versus the disembodied spirits.
So when you talk about pre-Adamite species, are you going back to, would that be like the Epic of Gilgamesh when they're talking about the Anunnaki? And does it go back that far? Or
I would have to say that it probably goes back further than that. When you talk about the creation of the earth in the biblical context, you're talking about things that has been here before the creation of Adam. So I would have to say it probably goes back further than that. I would have to question something though. Kind of makes me scratch my head. Why isn't the dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible?
right.
In which you have human feet or human footsteps that's fossilized, that's beside dinosaur foots or dinosaur footprints. So, don't know. It
No.
kind of makes you scratch your head.
Right.
I don't think that we'll ever know the full answer to anything. I think all we have in life is theories. And for you, if your theory sounds correct, then you'll be correct.
I like that. I like that
Yeah.
answer.
I mean, well, I can't speak for both of us, but my, my beliefs are pretty broad because I buy, or do I want to say buy into it? My interest goes into, all things paranormal. So it gets into aliens and, like you was talking about, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I mean, that was 6,000
Well,
BC,
Was it 6,000?
somewhere in there.
Well, if you look at the terminology for paranormal, it's something that is not normal to us.
Right.
So when you look at the workings of God, or somebody believes in a higher being versus God, it's still a paranormal thing.
Right.
Even Jesus said to his disciples, why are you scared? I'm not a ghost. For ghosts don't have flesh and bone, or in certain translation, he said, for spirit does not have flesh and bone. So it's just one of those things where you kind of got to juggle what's your theory, what's your beliefs, and
Right.
just kind of hold on to the horns and roll with it.
We did have a question. Christine was asking, can some demonologists also do exorcisms?
So my mentality is, for an exorcism, it has to be a sanctioned priest for that exorcism. Now, you will see demonologists, or in the Protestant world, you will hear of deliverance ministers. Okay, they're doing what we call a deliverance, and an exorcism, a possession of a person, is very, very rare. So when it comes to actually fully possessed people, I don't think that a lot of Christian deliverance ministers actually see that. Now when it comes to exorcism, the major rite of exorcism, not the minor, but the major, it has to be a sanctioned, ordained exorcist.
Interesting.
For me, it's all relative,
Yeah.
depending on your faith system. So,
Right.
is that demon you're exorcising following the Catholic stuff, or is he following more of a Protestant,
Right.
kind of a
Which I don't think that they differentiate. But the one thing that the demons know is the church, the Catholic Church that originated 2,000 years ago. They know that. They actually know the language of the church, and that is Latin. So whenever you see a lot of these possession cases, and these people are speaking Latin, That's because that's that demonic spirit speaking in Latin, because it knows that that Catholic minister or that Catholic priest will recognize, oh crap, this is a legitimate possession. We have somebody who's legitimately speaking in Latin, but you got to do research too. You'll find people that has training in Latin, so you can't go ahead and in those type of cases, you can't go ahead and say that, oh, this is a demonic spirit. Now, if you're dealing with somebody like me, okay, I am a redneck from Georgia, okay, I don't know Latin to save my life, but if I start speaking Latin, something's up.
Right.
You know that that's a demonic spirit, and you know that they know the language of the church, and they speak it very, very fluently.
So Wendy, I'll get to your question a little bit, but Tim's got a great question, and it kind of leads into that. His question is basic, but it's a good question. What makes a demon a demon? When you go into certain situations, I'm sure it goes beyond the Latin aspect of it. But when you go into a situation, what is that defining moment where you go, okay, we're dealing with a demonic entity here? I mean,
yeah. I know. I spoke to somebody I just met here just a few hours ago, and she contacted me about a case that she's working on. I'm not going to say no names or anything, but there are certain things that I look for. I like to diagnose it. At an early stage. That's why throughout my training, I learned very quickly to pick up on certain aspects. So number one is, sorry, my throat's hurting for some reason. So number one is if I'm getting a breakdown of the case, let's say from a paranormal investigator, and they've already spoke to the client, they spoke to their family and whatnot, okay? And if they all of a sudden started having trouble getting in contact with these people, I know the demonic will block phone calls. I know that they will manipulate the electronics to where you can't make the phone call, or you will not be able to have that person answer the phone. That happens a lot on like demonic cases. Number two is if, let's say I get a case from a paranormal investigator, and ever since they took the case, they've been having some bad stuff to start happening. A lot of bad luck. That can be also a telltale sign that maybe we are dealing with something that is demonic. But then I will still go to the case with an optimistic mind, knowing good and well that I saw some clues. Okay, so let's just keep pressing forward. Then I will make contact with the client, and if you're dealing with a demonic spirit, I know that these things do not like to look people in the eyes, especially the people that are coming to help. So if I'm learning from the people or their family that these people are not shy, they're very outgoing people, but then all of a sudden I'm making contact with them, and now they're being shy. Now they are looking away whenever I'm trying to make eye contact. Okay, we might have something like going on here. Mm-hmm. But then they will start giving you telltale signs. If I have some blessed sacramentals, or let's say some holy water, okay, and what I like to do, I like to put just a little bit on my fingers, and when I come into the case, I will shake that person's hand. If they have any kind of reaction to that, knowing good and well that they don't know what is on my hand, then I know that we're dealing with something that might be on the evil side of things. So there's a lot of things, if I take a case and somebody gives me a full breakdown of what's happening in their lives, I look at everything. I look at the way that the family structure is before and now. Right. I look at it, if there's any changes of personalities. Then I also take into consideration the psychological side of things either, you know. So I look at the drastic changes that most people probably wouldn't take into consideration until afterwards. I start putting all that together, and if I see drastic changes, we might be dealing with something that is negative. So yeah, there's a lot of things that'll throw your the red flags up or your spidey senses, you know. But deep down inside, if you're a paranormal investigator and you've been doing this a long time, and you get that gut feeling that we might need to reach out to someone who studies this stuff, then you might actually be dealing with a demonic case.
Right. Do you have any questions? Right, that's my next one.
No, I just, you know where I come from.
Yeah, I know.
I'm totally not religious, so it's, you know, I have to look at these things in a way that they make more sense to me, you know. Mm-hmm. So is it possible? Let's go back. I mean, the Dark Ages were the Dark Ages for a reason, because the church did terrible things to people, you know.
They did.
I mean, so I'll bring it forward a little bit. Let's go to the witches, you know, Salem and all that, you know, or people or women were killed because they were called witches, and that was, it might have been just because they were smart, you know. Mm-hmm. And if they were tortured in an awful way, let's just say they've got a really pissed off attitude about the church, you know. Yeah. And they're not really bad people. They probably weren't bad people at all. Yeah. But the church made them bad people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know. And I think that's happened from the beginning of, you know, religion.
Yeah. You know, you bring up a good thing, a good subject. You know, the church is not without its faux pas. You know, the church is not without their sin too. I mean, when you look at the ages that you were talking about, you know, the church did a lot of bad things, you know, morally and ethically. The church, even before that, was also doing some bad things. That started the Reformation. That started Martin Luther, like breaking away and started the Protestant movement, you know. So you're right. You know, sometimes the church does push people away and cause them to be just really, I wouldn't say bad people, but I would say that they have tainted what they are and what they should be.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm thinking. You know, you have, maybe it's really not a demon per se, but it's an entity that has a real hatred for the church because of the way they were treated and, you know, how they were tortured and killed.
Yeah.
You know, that, so they learned Latin from those days when they were tortured. And
I'm like, that's why I also add in the use of a holy water too. They wouldn't have boiling skin because of holy water. A demonic spirit would.
Interesting.
Boiling skin?
Boiling skin. Yeah. Yep. And have you ever seen that reaction?
Yes. There was a case I was working on before I moved to Albuquerque, and I put a few drops of holy water on her skin, and her skin started bubbling. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That is crazy. So if you were to sum up all your cases that you've had that were, I'm going to use the word demonic cases, how many would you say you've dealt with?
I come from the experience that's all I work on, you know, so I can't rightly put that into words due to the fact that, you know, you have regular paranormal investigators that go out and get thousands of cases throughout their years of doing it, but only have one demonic case. Right. You know, that's all I handle is demonic cases. So it is unlikely that I get just a regular Casper the Friendly Ghost. You know, that's all I receive. You know, is is these demonic cases. So I can't put that rightly in the words because that's all I work on.
Okay, yeah, because Wendy had a question earlier of what was one of your scariest, I guess, investigate. I have to go back to the question. I think it was probably your scariest moment. I think she was asking.
Ooh, there's been so many. I was working on a case in South Carolina, and I won't delve into any names or anything, but she the lady that I was helping was a former satanic high priestess. So but when we look at the regular religion of Satanism, we are accustomed to just a sugar-coated version. We are not accustomed to the real deal. She was the real deal. Okay. There was many things that she did and ordered for people to do for the ritualistic purposes. Okay. Like sacrificing of an infant, sacrificing of animals, stuff like that. But she told me that the one thing that caused her to want to get out is when the infant was sacrificed. That was the first time she witnessed that, and she said she just felt her heart just breaking, and then that's when she contacted me. So it took years of getting her to a place spiritually to where she can sustain what needs to happen. And when it finally came to that place, we were at our house, and we were doing the proper steps, and all of a sudden things were being thrown around the house. That was many years ago, and that was the first time I have ever really witnessed these heavy objects being just thrown like ragdolls. And I felt a little bit of timidity. I was. It's okay to be a little scared, So I was feeling a little scared, and then she stood up, and then you can tell it wasn't her anymore. That's when I get to a point to where I get righteously angered, not from a bad sense, but from a sense that these things are terrorizing this lady and her kids, so that builds up in me like a righteous anger to a point where I get very, very stubborn. And me and her were looking nose to nose, and you can tell it wasn't her. All of her eyes were coal black, and she was looking like she was wanting to jump on me, and I couldn't back down. I couldn't show fear, because just as soon as I show physically my fear, then this thing has me right where it wants me. So I couldn't show that timidity, and it got to a point to where we was able to sit her back down and let her come back forward and it go back down. And that took hours, but finally the end result is that she was free from the demonic spirit. And she said that as it was leaving, some people say this, that they see these big visions of angels like coming down and stuff. And she said right behind me was a big angel, about 7 foot tall and very, very broad shoulders, and holding a sword. And there was angels to his side too. And she said that off in the corner was that little demonic spirit cowering, and then it finally left. And she actually saw Saint Michael the Archangel, and after that, she hadn't had no more issues.
Man, if stuff would have started flying around the room, I would have been out of there in a heartbeat. There's no way over the stage. Good Lord. Yeah, no way.
Yeah. It would be cool to witness, though.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm curious, while you're in the Air Force, what kind of experiences and places that did you get to investigate?
Actually, me being in the Air Force has been a love-hate thing. I've only been stationed at like 2 bases. I've been in the Air Force for 18 years. When I first entered, they decided to move me back home. So I was stationed 45 minutes away from home in Warner Robins, Georgia. And then they decided to move me here, which was about 2019-ish. Yeah. And I've been here. But being here has been a very, very interesting experience, especially the city of Albuquerque. This place is crazy. Okay. This place, this is where the hub of the sex trafficking is. Sex trafficking and child trafficking. This is the hub of it. So I really don't like to take my children outside the confines of the base. But when I do, they know that I'm heavily strapped, and I am a trained military police officer. So I know how to use a firearm. So, but I have been stationed. I have been deployed 3 times. Twice was to Iraq, and once was to Kuwait. Now I realized in Iraq, this is when I was really, really new and into getting into the religious demonology side of things, and I just, there was times when I saw these Iraqis, they would be walking in lines, to go into the base, and I just sit back and watch, and even the adults, they act like children, okay, and it's just, how can a child raise a child? So you can tell that there's a big spiritual struggle going on there as well. And theory is just a theory. I don't know if it's fact or not. Just theory, though. Whenever Satan fell down from heaven, where he landed was Iraq, that vicinity. So that's what the theory is. I haven't really researched the truth about that, but that's just a theory. So it's just some G-Wit stuff,
Well, I didn't realize you were still serving. So, I mean, thank you so much for your service.
Yes, I retire in 2 years.
All right.
There you go.
My son-in-law's in the Air Force as well.
Yeah.
And he's on his last stint.
Yeah. Where's he stationed at?
They're in, I don't know what base he's actually stationed at, but they're in Texas, in Greenville, Texas.
Okay.
He works, he writes programs for the planes and stuff.
Okay.
And install.
Cool.
But yeah, so he works with civilians at this facility,
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun
cool
stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So any UFO stories?
Well, I've had some cases where it looked like UFO-like visitations. The people would wake up in the middle of the night and see like this short, grayish man with big eyes. The big black eyes, and when you're dealing with the demonic stuff, it can make you see what it wants you to see.
Right.
The ultimate goal is for it to make you think that you're crazy, because as soon as you think you're crazy, then you're crazy. So in those cases, you have to tread delicately and very, very lightly, and kind of sift out what is fact and what is just illusion. Just like some of my demonic cases, also, this thing will come in the guise of Bigfoot, but just as soon as you smell that sulfur smell, that's when you got to differentiate. Okay, I think this might be a demonic spirit, because with demonic spirits, they bring those smells, the sulfur smell, rotten meat and stuff like that. So they can make you see what they want you to see.
Right.
Mhm.
We kind of witnessed that in the basement of the DeSoto Hotel.
Yeah, I think that was just the basement
I
smell,
think it
though. I
was
don't
too.
think it was anything demonic, but yeah, that place was interesting.
Is that in Arizona?
No, it's in El Paso.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was 95 degrees with 120% humidity down the basement.
Wow,
It was bad.
wow.
Yeah, it was bad. There was mold everywhere. It was just kind of nasty. But
Just nasty.
yeah, it was interesting though. Interesting night.
Yeah.
But we did smell that sulfur, but then we did see there was a sewer pipe that ran above.
Oh, that was it then.
That was it. It was debunked early on.
Yeah.
So have you gone into cases where having the experience that you have, I know you don't automatically just jump and say, hey, nope, that's demonic, but
No.
have you ever had a hunch, like in your gut feeling saying, I believe this is demonic, and then by the end of it, you realize, nope, it wasn't? I mean, has that ever happened to you?
No, no, not really.
No.
But I had a case where the people had called so many paranormal investigators because of what's happening, and they would automatically tell them it sounds like your wife is having medical problems. And this one originally threw me for a loop. You know, the first time I ever had a case where everything wasn't just blatant. You know, I had a case request from a guy. He was a retired Navy SEAL. Okay, so when I take that to consideration, I know Navy SEALs, people with that kind of mind frame, they always look for the plausible explanation first, you know, and they're really on the mind frame to where there's got to be a logical thing, you know, and this is the first time I ever had a case request that I didn't have any more questions about until I started really going over it, you know, because he laid it all out there on a silver platter. You know, him and his wife been married for about 30 years. Okay, they met when she was 30, and the only father figure she's ever had in her life was her father-in-law. So fast forward, you know, through now her father-in-law is passed away, and ever since her father-in-law passed away, she started having some medical ailments, and it started off as something as simple as plantar fasciitis, okay, and then she was having these strange heart palpitations. Then she started getting a lot of blood pressure stuff like going on. She having this fight or flight feelings, you know, and then she started having thrush of the mouth. Okay,
Wow.
now when you look at their construct, you know, her and her husband has always been very outgoing people, always loved to travel. They always liked to ride on long trips on her husband's motorcycle, his Harley, you know. So very outgoing people, love to travel, you know, hadn't even met anybody that they consider a stranger. Everybody's a friend, you know. And now we get to this point to where she started having these medical ailments, you know, and she's been to the doctor so many times, and the doctor tells her, I can't find anything medically wrong with you. I don't know why this is happening. Okay. So I'm I'm reading what he is saying, you know, and I'm trying to take it all in. You know, it took me a few days to really kind of soak it all in, you know, and I'm trying to put together what is odd about this. Okay. Because when you're dealing with something that is demonic, you know, there's something very, very deep in the construct that will be odd. Okay. Because everything can look normal. Okay. But there's got to be that one thing that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Okay. So as I'm reading it, I guarantee you I've probably read it about 60 times. And I'm like, my gut's telling me, okay, something ain't right here. You know, there's something that doesn't add up, you know. And finally, finally, I found it. Why would she have thrush of the mouth?
Right.
Okay. So I called them back. I'm like, I want to ask you about the thrush of the mouth. I'm like, were you taking any antibiotics like at the time? Were you going through anything like chemotherapy? Anything really invasive like that? And she said, no. I'm like, okay. So then I started piecing it together. I'm like, so your father, I asked her, your father figure was your father-in-law, right? And she said, yes. I'm like, I know for a fact that these things will attach to someone and hibernate years and years and years till the point to where it waits for when you're emotionally weak, spiritually weak, or physically weak. Okay. Well, when her father-in-law passed away, she was emotionally weak.
Mhm.
That was the first big loss, really, that she's ever had of someone that actually means something to her. So then I asked, how did your father-in-law like pass away? Well, he developed cancer. Okay, but before that, he started developing, and I kid you not, everything that she started developing, he
Yeah.
started developing in the same pattern, in
Wow.
the same chronological order.
Wow.
But the one thing that was different is that he had cancer, so he was going through chemotherapy. He, but she didn't, but she still developed the thrush of the
That's
mouth.
very true.
So I'm starting to put two and two together. Then I had to go back farther into her life. When you're dealing with these people, you got to peel back the layers of their life, the onions, let's say, the onion peels. To see what's the root cause of why these things are attached to someone. And it was something as simple as when she was 19 years old, her aunt passed away. Okay, that was another person that she was really attached to. Okay, riding down the road, and she said she was driving, and then her aunt appeared to her on the passenger side seat, and then she opened up a dialogue with her aunt. It wasn't her aunt. It was a demonic spirit in the guise of her aunt. And just as soon as she opened up that dialogue, then she invited it into her life. And it waited till she was 60 years old when
Wow.
she was emotionally weak. And then it started going to town on her. It started to attack her, but it started attacking her in a way that no one would ever recognize it. And that was so-called medical ailments. And we performed a deliverance like on her. And when we got to the point, this thing manifested through her, and it said that it was the familiar spirit that came in the guise of her dead aunt.
Wow.
And I tell you, that was a fascinating case. That case, I like to tell people, if I am teaching them some tidbits about demonology, that's one of the first cases that I teach them on, because it shows you that sometimes the cases are not automatically what they look like.
Right.
You have to dig deeper. Yeah.
Right.
So after that, though, that was what, 7 years ago, and I still have conversations with her and her husband. That's one thing that I try to do, is to have that follow up care, afterwards. Because if you don't, those people are just going to fall right back into what they were in.
Right.
And I just have conversations, just check back on them and make sure that everything is okay. But me and them has been friends for 7 years now, and they are some of those people to where they're some of my good friends. So dealing with these cases, you do develop friends.
Right.
Those friends that become closer than just acquaintances.
Right.
They become your really good friends. And that's what developed with that one.
As you were going along with the story, I was almost going to say you were going to say that the father-in-law, the demon passed from the father-in-law to her, which is where I thought you were going to go with
Yeah.
it. But we went a different way. So
Yeah.
that was,
I don't know, it sounded like she was just a super empath to me. And that didn't know how to protect herself, you know, from because maybe the attachment wasn't directly on her, but on the person that she was empathic to, and it passed to her through that. You know, because you'll see people that are empaths that go through the same, you know, type of emotions and symptoms and all that. Other people.
I have dealt with people that are empaths, you know, and you didn't realize it until you start talking to them, and you start realizing that they feel what other people feel, you know, and they feel different things that other people's not feeling. The one thing that showed me with her that she wasn't an empath, and I had those questions like for her, is that she has never felt what other people felt. She has never had those type of empathic feelings, you know. That told me that this is something different. You know, we're not dealing with an empath, because I do take that into consideration too. Whenever I get these cases, you know, I tell myself maybe they have abilities and they don't know it, and maybe they need to control it. You know, I've had some cases where, very rare though, that it looked like that it was demonic. But the more I start asking questions and the more I start prying, it's somebody with abilities that don't know how to control it, you know. And I've got certain friends throughout the paranormal field. You know, I'm very, very picky about, you know, people with abilities. You know, I believe that 95% of people that claim that have abilities don't have abilities. You know, they just doing it for $1. You know, but there's those 5% that is very rare. And once you find them, you need to keep friendship with them. So if you do get cases like this, they can teach people how to control it, so their lives can be a whole lot better.
Right. Wendy had a question. She says, why do you think demons choose certain people to mess with? She had an attachment and wondered why it had picked her.
So when you look at the way that the demonic work, number one, how they get attached to people is either something that someone has done, meaning either willingly or either knowingly or unknowingly. So they only work through laws of invitation. Things that someone has done, maybe messing with a Ouija board, delving into the occult, actually practicing Satanism, you know, stuff like that, you know, that can get these things attached to them. Now, you can also get attachments by things that's been done to you, either willingly or unwillingly. Unfortunately, I have had cases where someone has been either molested or raped, you know, and unfortunately that causes something nasty to get attached to them. And if it doesn't get reconciled, you know, throughout their life, they are going to have some very major traumatic problems. And then things that you're born with. So what I mean by that is a generational curse is something that's been brought down the bloodline. You know, there's an old saying about sins of the father. Well, sins of your ancestors, you know, can also catch up with you here in present day too. I've had several cases like for example, witchcraft. You know, witchcraft, stuff like that. It's normally in the bloodline. You know, their previous ancestors have practiced it, and it's something that's in the family. So they practice it too. So that's what we call kind of like a generational curse. You know, it's been passed down from generations.
Interesting. Should I read Parable's comment there?
You can't pull them up.
I can't. I don't know if Leon can see him or not, though.
Oh.
I'll pull this up. Can you read that or no? Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So Parable says, from what I understand, the religious leaders, demonic entities do not have a reason. They just want to see God's creation burn and hatred to God's favorite and no reasonable goals.
Mm-hmm. You know what? When you are dealing with the demonic entities, they want God's people to be ultimately destroyed. So that's why the ultimate goal is to possess a human body. But in order to get to that point, they have to break them down in various stages to where now their will is now broken and they have no will. So therefore, that's when possession starts to take effect. So yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Have you ever had an attachment?
Very early, before I started studying the demonology aspect, I did take something home. It wasn't a demonic entity; it was something else. But still, it was scary enough to where I started learning, proper protections and proper prayers and all that. And now I don't take nothing home with me.
Well, that's a good thing. We don't like that either.
No.
Just evidence. Good evidence.
Right. Just the evidence.
Just good evidence. So what's your thoughts on all the equipment they have these days now for investigating?
Yeah.
I would always like to ask that question. I'm curious.
No, you know what? All the equipment is very nice. I actually have a 8-channel DVR system. I have a thermal camera. Very, very expensive camera. Back in the day when I first started out with just ghost hunting, with just regular old paranormal investigating, I had all the equipment. Now since I transferred from there to just studying religious demonology and handling those type of cases, I really don't have to employ all of that equipment, because whenever I am called to come on a case, usually the paranormal investigators has already done the legwork and they show me the evidence, so that makes it very easy for me. But I don't have to employ all of those tools and gadgets. If it's a case to where it still has me stumped, I'll break out my DVR system and actually do an investigation. But I've not had to do that in a very, very long time.
So, but if you did have to pick one piece of equipment, what would your go-to piece of equipment?
My thermal imager, hands down. That can also be used to find the portal. If there's a portal in the home, especially if it's a demonic thing, you can always find where that is by that little bit of a heat source. Yes, you have to differentiate what you got going on if you got water pipes and stuff like that, but normally you can always find that one little portal, that little opening, to where where you need to point your target at.
And that shows up as a heat sense?
Yep, just a little small heat sense, about that big around.
You need to use your thermal camera.
I know we need to pull that thing out more. I almost said something else, but no, we're gonna bring it this weekend, so we'll have to play around with that a little bit just to see. I'm curious now.
I love the thermal imager. That if I break out some equipment, that's the first one.
Have you ever, now with your cameras, with your DVR system that you use, have you caught some real good evidence on the cameras?
That was before my demonology days. Yes. Right. I caught a piece of evidence to where we were in an old library down in South Carolina, and we have the camera set up on this box, and the box falls, and in normal speed, it doesn't look weird at all, but as you slow it down, you see the box falling, and then right before it hits the ground, you see something. At first, it looks like a sheet, and it goes under, and then as it comes out the other side, you can see a full-fledged figure and then boom, it just disappears.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. But I'm now, since swapped to the demonology side of things. What people don't realize is that when you do have a demonic case, 9 times out of 10, the paranormal investigating team is not going to catch any evidence at all, because these things do not want to be seen. These things do not want you to know that it's there, so it's not going to produce any kind of evidence.
Now, were you going to say something?
No.
Oh,
I was waiting for you.
So, have you messed around with EVPs at all in the past? I mean, have you ever done recordings and things like that?
Yeah.
Have you ever got a recording to where you know what you heard live, but then when you play back the recording, do you ever hear like a different language on top of that?
Yes, sometimes it's very hard to differentiate what is what. I have heard like regular English, and then on top of that, kind of layered on that is like a different language. So that's very interesting. It makes you wonder, when it comes to the electronics inside of that the voice recorder, how is it picking it up? Is it picking up 2 languages, or is it one language but something comes over it to make it sound like something else? It's very, very strange.
Yeah, because we had one of our fellow listeners, Mike, on one night, and we were talking about his, practices and stuff that he does. And at one point in the show, we heard it live. Something got weird, and it sounded like there were 2 voices. There was a voice on top of his voice, and I don't think it was a different language, but it was just weird. You could just hear the separation in the voices, and everything just kind of went weird from that point forward. Yeah,
it was a very strange night.
Yeah, it was very strange. Yeah. Thank God we got it on tape. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, we still just don't know what it said, though.
So. No. And that goes to my next question for you is, have you ever had, and I'm sure you have, but any case in particular that you can think of to where you're still stumped about it today? Like you just don't know, you just can't explain it.
Yeah, it was before my demonology days. We were investigating a church in Augusta, Georgia, and I always thought it was strange that a Baptist minister called us in to investigate his church. Makes you really think, my gosh, maybe they do got some serious activity there.
Right.
But I was inside of the restroom doing investigation, and I was doing an EVP session, and I turn and I look at the window that goes outside, and there's a female figure standing there looking at me. It caught me off guard, made me jump. I probably said something that I shouldn't have, but I saw it, but I immediately stayed right there, and I went on the microphone on the radio, and I had one of my investigators to go outside to where it was to see, can somebody stand there? I was trying to debunk it. If it's low enough to the ground where somebody can stand there, well, then I'm just tossing that up to it was one of my investigators. Okay. But this thing was, this window from where it is to the ground was 8 feet.
Okay.
And I saw from the shoulders up, okay, there was no way in God's green earth that somebody was standing there. It had to have been a spirit.
Right.
That still today, I can go back and think about it, and it just stumps me. I'm like, wow, this was legitimate. This is crazy. I can't explain it. The only possible explanation that this was a legitimate ghost. There was also another case. We were invited to investigate an old plantation house that predates the Civil War.
Right.
And actually, this case, ghost hunters came and investigated the house because they read our case file, and so we went and investigated, and we were told that we can go there anytime we wanted to investigate. So that basically become like our little training ground,
Right.
But our first time investigating, we got this EVP, and I didn't hear the EVP. I was at work, and my colleague called me and said, "Hey, I just sent you an email. You're gonna, I think you're gonna understand what this EVP is." I'm like, "Okay, cool," And sure enough, I'm listening, and you hear not just the regular song of taps that we play here in the military at like 10 o'clock. You hear a bugler's cry of taps.
Really?
Yes, and it was haunting. I'm like, wow, this is taps. So then I went back and did research on the actual song. And it dates back to England. They would play that song to emphasize that the bar is closing, that the taps of the bar is closing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah.
That
I
is
mean, we in the military have, taken it in as the call of it's time for lights out. The end of the end of the day and night. Now it's time to go to bed. So that's the whole history of that song. And the more I researched it, wow, still to this day, that's no one of those cases where just leave me scratching my head. We got throughout a year time frame about 500 EVPs.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about class B or class C. I'm talking about class A. Okay. This place was a hotbed. And now I think the owners have sold it, but still to this day, that is another one of those places where if I get invited back, I would drop everything I'm doing now and go back and investigate.
And you said Ghost Hunters did an episode there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It appeared in 2007. Oh, was it season 3? I'll have to go back and look at it and let y'all know. I know the person who they came and she was the client. I actually know the client. Me and her still friends. And she said the way that we investigated versus the way that they just come in and willy-nilly just did an investigation and left, we did a 10 times better job. Taps, they only come in, investigated, and was looking for a reason not to call it haunted. But we had legitimate evidence, that we have this. It was irrefutable. But they came in and claimed that it was electronic stuff, which whatever, to each their own. But I would go back and I would look at the show, at that episode, and let you know what season and what episode.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to go back and watch it for sure.
It was Oakland Hall Plantation in Greensboro, Georgia.
Okay.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, I have to look that up. So what's your plan for the future? You plan on continuing doing this? Is it going to be a full-time thing for you once you're out of the military, or?
Right now I'm in seminary. I am going to become an Anglo-Catholic priest. From there, I will continue this ministry. Some people call it healing ministry. Some would call it the exorcism and deliverance like ministry. But I will continue to help people that actually need help. Morally and ethically, I couldn't live with myself if I just let somebody suffer.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's awesome. That sounds like a calling.
Yes. Yes.
And
I think it's a calling. It was one of those things where I got certain instances that happened like in my life, and I've always been a man of faith, and I'm like, well, why not,
No, that's cool.
Mhm.
Very cool. Well, I know I can talk all night, and I know your throat's bothering you, so I don't want to do that to you. But
it's all good.
no, but I want to really thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it, and I think we
Yeah,
got a
it's
lot
been
of good
awesome.
information, and a lot of fun.
Yeah. And if you ever want me back, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to come back.
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll definitely do a follow up to this.
And hopefully
one
we'll run into you there at Paracon.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
I will be speaking, and a good friend of mine by the name of Brian Cantu, he'll be speaking, and then another good friend of mine, her name is Miranda Young. She's a ghost biker Explorations, very good friend of mine. She's actually one of those people that I have in my tight knit circle, and I met her at a Paracon in Alabama, and we hit it off, really good friendship, and she got a good thing going on. She loves Harleys, she loves riding bikes, and she also loves, the paranormal, and she does it from a historical sense, so if you ever watch her show, it's on YouTube. It's called Ghost Biker Explorations. And she asked me, I am on the season finale of season 2. It's an episode called I Bid Thee Farewell. And she asked me to come in and cleanse a home, and that was a few years ago, and still to this day, that home is peaceful, but in order to understand that episode, you got to watch season 1 too, because there's it's called The House on Sunset Hill, and is a really demonically infested home, and she went into it not thinking that it's going to be demonic, just Casper the Friendly Ghost, and then all of a sudden, boom, she got a nasty hornet's nest, and I was able to have some free time in my schedule, and I came in and we did a cleansing like of the home, and still to this day, the people that live in that home is living in peace.
Oh, that's. I wrote that down, so definitely have to check that out. So that'd be cool. I did miss a question from Wendy, so I do want to get that before we let go. But Wendy says, do you think spirit animals can protect you from demons? Because I believe when I was young, we had a spirit animal, a dog, that came and protected us from some bad stuff until it left, and then the dog left.
That was a cool story.
Yeah, that was a cool story. I remember that story.
I believe any good spirits can protect you, or try their best to protect you from, the nasty spirits. How much time do we have left?
You can go as long as you want. Like I said, I was just concerned about your throat. I know you said your throat was hurting you. So
there was a case that I handled in Florida, and it was one of the first cases that I handled after I transitioned into doing demonology. And she was of Native American descent. It was in Thanatos, Florida, where there was it was known that the Seminoles were used to accompany there. Okay. And at that time, I had a man like on my team, very, very gifted man. I mean, pinpoint accurate 100% of the time. Okay. We're there doing the deliverance like over her. And all of a sudden he goes down. His chest gets shredded, and he screamed at me and said, kill the messenger, and his chest is getting shredded, so I poured a little bit of holy water on his chest, and it stopped, and those scratches just healed instantly. So after everything is said and done, I asked him, I'm like, what were you sensing like at that time?
Right.
He said, well, Leon, you got to remember that this is Native American land. Just as soon as we walked onto the property, there was hundreds of Native American spirits surrounding the house, like, and the property. And I'm getting goosebumps just telling this, man. Man, so he said, as soon as we went into the deliverance, he started hearing drumming, the Native American like drumming. And the more intense it became, the louder and louder the drumming got, and he said it was to the point where when I went down, he thinks that the demonic spirits were trying to kill him, because he was the messenger. He was able to see the Native American spirits. He was able to communicate with them and communicate to us what's happening, things that we can't see, and the more intense we got into the deliverance, the louder and louder and louder the drumming started. And just as soon as the demonic spirits left her and just left completely, the drumming stopped. And he said, when we left, he asked me, did you see me look back? I'm like, yeah. He said, I made contact with the last remaining Native American spirit there. And it was the chief. And he gave me that nod, like, thank you. And then boom, he just disappeared. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. People don't realize that the spirit world, is supernatural, is paranormal. And we don't even we can't even fathom what's really going on. But we have people who are gifted in that sense, and it's just incredible.
I mean, that's really why we do this, to learn, to try to experience it.
Yeah.
Well, Jen's question.
Where?
No, that's it.
Oh, that's what I was going to put up. So the question comes from Longhorn Paranormal. It says, nice to see you, Leon, in person. What's your opinions on blessing properties?
Blessing properties. Let me see. If there's already a demonic spirit that is attached to the person and they live on the property, or a demonic spirit that is already on the property, the way that I look at blessings is you got to remove that entity before you even bless it. If you bless it while the entity is attached to the person that lives there or to the property in general, it's like poking a bear with a cattle prod. All it's going to do is just make it mad. Right. So you got to remove it and then bless it.
Interesting.
It's like drain the boat, then seal it up.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think about things in a common sense approach.
Right.
Okay. If, let's say, military tactics, so let's say if blessing would be our way of, let's say, taking over a enemy compound, right? If we go in and we take over the compound, but yet we don't eradicate what's already there, then we're just going to get destroyed right from the inside. It's doing no good.
Right.
If you bless a property or a home and something evil is already there, all it's going to do is make it mad. You got to eradicate it and then bless it.
That makes sense. It does. Yeah. That's cool.
Everybody else thinks it makes sense.
Yeah, I know. Everybody else is saying it makes sense. That's cool. Well, good. Right on. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to have you back on again for sure.
Okay. Sounds good. Anytime you want me back on, I'll be more than happy to come.
Yeah, this was enjoyable. It really was. And hopefully I'll have more questions for you next time.
Okay. I like to think about things in a common sense terms, right. And if I don't know an answer, I won't, fluff it or anything. I will say I don't know.
And we appreciate
so it's one of those things. In this field, you have to have some type of credibility, something, and if you start lying about things or just blowing things up just to say that you know something, I think your credibility will be ruined. So that's why if I legitimately don't know something, I'll say I don't know, but I'll find out.
Well, you definitely have a wealth of knowledge, that's for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, definitely learned some things tonight. That was cool.
Yeah. Well, you know, I like to be humble, so I you know, we're constantly learning. You know, I
Right.
can't say I'm an expert like in this field. No one can say that.
Right.
You know, because we're constantly learning something. You know, we're constantly learning from other people, or maybe our thoughts about something was totally backwards. You know,
Right.
So that's why I'm always up for learning something new. You know, or relearning something that I thought I already knew.
And that's what I love about doing these types of setups, because we learn from you. We get to bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
We hear what other people think. And I think it's just a great way to interact with people in the field. So it's really cool to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on.
No problem.
Oh, thank you for coming on.
We appreciate it.
No problem. You know, and I really don't have a really good outlet that I advertise my services on. But it's strange, you know, I don't have a website that says, hey, demonologist so and so or anything, but I still get cases, you know, I still get calls, you know, so maybe I shouldn't advertise. But altogether, you know, I'll be happy to come on. You know, I don't advertise my services, but things like this, you know, being on shows and stuff, I think people see that they can reach out.
Well, and I think the fact that you don't advertise and you get as much as you do, I think that speaks volumes for you as a person and your integrity and honesty. So I think that's,
and that there's definitely a need for people like you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, very cool. So we hope we get to see you in New Mexico when we're there.
Yes. Yes. I will make a point to seek y'all out.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be neat to get together and swap.
I will also be speaking at the Tyler, Texas Paracon as well in April. So I'll be speaking at that as well. I spoke at that a few years ago, and then they quit having the Paracon, and then last year they brought it back. And I actually know the person that puts it on. He's a really good dude. His name is George Jones. At first, I think about the possum, but legitimately, his name is George Jones, and a really good dude. And they was going to bring it back last year, and then COVID hit. And with my military restrictions with COVID, I couldn't take leave like at that time. So this year, something different. I'll be able to take leave, and just hopefully to have a good time there, meeting new people. I look at these Paracons as a way to meet new people.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, I will make sure that I look y'all out.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, we look forward to that for sure.
Yep.
Is Tyler, Texas, up by Corpus Christi or in that area?
I believe so. It's about 12 hours away from me here. So it might be near Corpus Christi, but I don't know.
Because I know I've heard of Tyler, Texas, but I'm trying to think why.
Where it is, yeah.
But
interesting.
I don't know if it's because I watched Selena or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
So no, that was by Corpus Christi. So
I know that there was a show on, I think, Travel Channel called the Holzer Files.
Oh yeah.
They
Dave
introduced a case that Hans Holzer was working on out of Tyler, Texas. So that might be what you know it from.
Could be.
Longhorn just said Tyler is by Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be there. I'd be there in June.
Yeah.
Dang it. Okay.
But we'll
That's
see him.
too late.
We'll see him in New Mexico.
Yeah. That'll be in October, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's in October.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And again, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get to see you soon.
Yes, sir. Most certainly.
Will you have a good night?
You too. And thank you for having me. And God bless y'all.
God bless you. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right.
Good night.
that was cool.
Yeah, enjoyed that a whole lot.
Yeah, that was a fun. A lot of knowledge.
So Jen, I'm going to be in Dallas in June. I thought you lived here, or well, between here and there.
Between here and there,
you do a lot here in Arizona too. But Longhorn, I mean, that's Texas.
That is Texas.
Texas.
That speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Well, that was cool. That was very cool.
Yeah.
That was a lot of information. It's cool to see. It was cool to see kind of both sides of it. You see Carl's, aspect of it, and you get to see Leon's. It's kind of neat to see the difference between the two.
It isn't like I'm the seeker dude,
right?
So usually the minute religion gets pulled into things, I kind of pull back because it. And I mean, maybe I'm a demon, because it repels me. I'm repelled.
Repels you?
Repelled. It turns me off.
No, but it's interesting to get.
No, it really is. And I always go back to my belief that one creates the other. So
right,
it makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad it does.
So I mean, I can't poo-poo anything, because I believe that they coexist.
Yep. I was reading when he says, "I think you are Joey." I don't know what that was for.
That I'm possessed.
Could be. I guess we'll find out this weekend. Huh?
Yeah, maybe.
We'll have to put a K2 on you this weekend and see what happens. So we're going to be in New Mexico this weekend doing the Adobe. Sorry. I got the Adobe on my brain because I want that freaking suit.
Yeah, we have to stop there for suit.
The Doña Ana courthouse and jail.
Yeah.
So that I've been thinking about Adobe Deli for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it'll be our second time there, but we get to do a 2-night investigation. So
it's gonna be fun.
Hopefully we'll grab some really good evidence for y'all.
Yeah, it's gonna be chilly there, isn't it? So no thunderstorms. Not like last time.
It's supposed to warm up here tomorrow, finally.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
But, okay. I just have to get a different jacket because I can't wear my leather jacket.
Makes too much noise. Yeah, we can't do that.
Oh, that's Joey. If it's not my leather jacket, it's me snoring.
Then we'll have Darren's bell and Joey's leather jacket. So be a little chorus going on there. And then the week we come back, we've got Parapalooza going on. That's the following week, isn't it?
After we get back.
Oh, Lord.
Well, then next Tuesday
we have
Patty Negri.
Thank you. I just drew a blank.
Yeah, that'll be very cool.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna be fun.
Go from a demonologist to a white witch. I think that's pretty cool.
I was watching one of her live shows a couple of nights ago, and God, she was just fascinating. Really, the way she was interacting with different people, and she was getting questions thrown at her just left and right, and she's just popping them off as she's getting them. I was like, how does she do that? I was really impressed with her. I was like, I'm excited to talk to her. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, show her talent dealing with us, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Any other
CJ can
relate to
my leather jacket.
I see that.
Walk around.
Yeah, where was that? The American Flag Museum, wasn't it?
Yeah, what was there? And also, was I wearing that? I think I was wearing it when we were at the birdcage too. Oh, did you wear it? I don't remember that. I remember the noise at the American Flag Museum. Yeah, I mean, it was really loud there. There was another one though. Maybe it wasn't the birdcage, but I know there was another one who was wearing it. And I don't remember. Just making too much noise. Oh wait, somebody said you did. Yep, he did. Tombstone. Okay, so it was Tombstone. Okay. Well, that's where I was snoring. Well, you got a 2-nighter coming up, so you got to get plenty of sleep. Make sure you get plenty of sleep. So yeah, no, at the birdcage. That's right. Okay, so I was wrong. Oh man, time goes by so fast, doesn't it? All right. Well, this has been a fun one. Yeah, it's been good paranormal talk. Yeah. Thanks again to Leon Wilkes for joining us. And
thank you for all you joining us tonight, for sure.
It would be nothing without you all here.
So we hope everybody has a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, enjoy your corned beef and cabbage and green beer, or
your cream ale.
Your
Laughing Dog Brewing.
Your Jameson shots.
There you go. Jameson cold brew. That's good stuff right there.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, you did. The cold brew. The one that tastes like coffee.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It was Jameson.
Yeah, it was Jameson. Good stuff.
Wow. Yeah. I could dig that. Well.
Pinch someone you love. I like that. There you go.
I was going to wear a green tie. I forgot.
Oh, tonight you were?
Yeah.
I don't have any green shirts. I think my green shirt's a Christmas shirt.
It's got little Santa Claus on it, right? So.
I think it's actually Darth Vader dressed up as Santa, but I don't know.
Oh, that's like cool.
That. Yeah. I haven't worn it in a couple of years. Probably doesn't fit. All righty. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. We hope you guys have a good rest of the week. And who knows? Maybe if we get some good evidence, we'll come on live on Facebook or something for a couple minutes.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We'll get some good stuff going on. We'll jump on and say hi to everybody. So
we should do it anyway.
Yeah, we could do that.
Just to say hi.
I think the reception was okay there, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think it was. I think it was.
Did we try? Oh, yeah, we did. We did that back in the clear in the belly of the gel.
Yeah,
actually.
we did.
Yeah,
we did. So we might be able to do that. Maybe we'll surprise you guys and do a little live Facebooking.
In the belly of the gel.
Belly of the gel.
Wow.
So until next week.
This has been TTB The Unexplained.
Play that back. Paranormal Talk.
TTTABA. The Unexplained.
Paranormal Talk.
Yeah.
Mr. Leon
Talk.
Wilkes.
See, I mean, we say AZ Peers instead of Arizona Paranormal Investigation Research Society because I can't say it. But I just said it.
You just said it. you can't say it.
So we say AZ Peers, but we changed our Truth About Beer and TTABA, and I think I can say the the Truth About Beer and the Unexplained a lot easier.
TTABA.
Okay.
Tongue twister.
I'm out of breath.
Is that it?
Till next time.
All right, everybody. We'll cheers you anyway because
Yeah,
it's St. Patrick's Day. So we'll talk to you next time. Have a good week. Be safe. And maybe we'll see you this weekend live on Facebook. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Till then, good night, everybody.
Good night.